student life, I just want to take an opportunity and do a student shout out. I am sitting here with my very good friend, Maddie Downs. She has taken a huge responsibility for our youth group. She's going to help lead us in worship for the next year as she's going into her senior year. So today we're going to play a fun game together, but we also want to talk about the goals of our worship team during COVID, our goals of our worship team when COVID is over, and then also just learn some fun facts about Maddie so that we can all get to know her, because our ultimate goal is if there's anybody out there, whether you want to play the bongos, or you want to play guitar, drums, saxophone, flute. What's that weird instrument that you play?
I play the viola. The
viola? See, look, first fun fact. Anything like that, we want you to come and be a part of it, because you can worship Jesus any way that you feel like. So I don't care if you want to get up there and just play the triangle. We'll get you included.
If spoons are your jam, we'll figure them out.
It's true. So we played this game before, but just so everyone knows how this works, this is called Water War. So we'll divide the deck into two. We'll each play a round. We'll ask a couple of questions, and then we'll go on. So first off, why don't you tell us a little bit about your personal goals and like what you love about worship?
I love worship because it's a way that we can all because everyone is different in the way that they choose to worship Jesus, in the way that just their personalities. So, and just being able to spend some time either alone or in a group of people in worship, you can kind of find your own vibe. And I think that it's kind of a good way to really feel Jesus in the presence of a room, not only with people, but also just within yourself. Because I think music moves people in a way that words just can't quite do. Because music means something different to everyone. So I think if just any diverse group of people doing worship, I think as long as they have a want or a need to be in Christ or be with him in the moment, then I think that's all you need.
Let's go for our first round.
Okay.
Oh, it's slow and cold.
I was like, it's gonna be so cold.
Okay, so during COVID,
there's so much fear. There's so much fear. Oh no.
So during COVID, you girls, all of you in our worship team have done an awesome job adapting. We've tried filming in the student center, which live was really good, but on camera it didn't turn out so well. We filmed in here, which again, it was like a step up. But lately, we've been worshiping in Washington and getting to use all the big church equipment. So tell us a little bit about that and what your favorite things about doing worshiping over there and kind of your goals as we continue to do online worship.
So kind of the whole process is that we all go over there, we goof around for a little bit, I make snide comments about random stuff and make fun of Cody, as you're supposed to. And then we kind of get together, we help each other kind of get each other better at hitting certain notes, or just overall performing and getting a good quality product, along with just having a whole bunch of fun and being, crazy and dancing, or encourage people to dance.
What is the most challenging part about doing worship online that you've kind of run into?
Not seeing all those people, not seeing people out there. You're just kind of it's just James and a couple other people, but then remembering that eventually at some point a bunch of people sitting in their houses are going to see this video, and so it's kind of hard to be oh yeah, I have to remember to smile and move and do funny things so people aren't just wow, pretty voice.
All right, round two.
Okay.
How?
Well.
Should have rigged the deck. Oh, that one was even colder. How is that possible? Okay. So once we are able, I love this. Once we are back, we're at full strength.
Yes.
What are some of the things that you would love to see happen?
I would love to see more people just showing any sort of want to be in the worship team at all, or even participate in just helping, or just doing whatever they can do, whatever they feel comfortable doing. If we had anyone who can do live any sort of instruments, that'd be honestly fantastic. It'd be so amazing, because I think just having live instruments playing the music just brings a whole other atmosphere, and just, I don't know. It's just so hard to explain. Like, it just changes the atmosphere of the whole entire place. And I think that'd be so amazing if we could find a couple people to do that.
And we don't have to wait until we are normal. If you and your family are comfortable with you guys coming out, we do our best to practice social distancing while we're filming. We're not perfect, but we do our best. You can even come on a Wednesday when we are filming and try it out. We don't have to put you on camera right away.
No.
We do practice before we film. So if you just want to get comfortable with it, we're totally about it. All right, let's watch me lose again. I too.
All right. I'm starting to feel a little bit bad, but also, this is amazing.
See, this is why you guys should come and like interact on social media and stuff, because this could be you. Let's call it.
Hit me, baby. One more time.
One more. I'm toxic. Oh, that's Maddie's favorite song.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, if you had to pick between one like upbeat worship song and then one slow meditative song, what would you go with?
Oh, that's so hard. There's so many of them. So one of the songs that I honestly love, like every single time we sing it or I hear it on the radio, it just gives me chills. It's like King of Kings. Like that song is just amazing. I just don't have words for it. Like we were practicing and we were doing, when we did it the last time we were practicing it, and I was just like, oh my gosh, my heart. I was like, this is so amazing. It sounds so good. And I just couldn't contain my excitement about it. It was so amazing. And then one of the upbeat songs, I don't know.
Yeah, so those songs are always hard to pick. Round 4.
Sure.
Aces are low.
What?
Yeah! I'm gonna get one.
Aces are low. I don't know what kind of game of war you're playing.
It always varies from house to house.
That's
so you personally, we're going to
Yes.
kind of break off from worship a little
Okay.
bit. But what is one thing that you have missed about having like interactive live worship, or not worship, but youth group?
Oh, I miss just seeing everyone, because like we all come from so many different like parts of life. So like even though we live in a relatively small town, like just I don't see any of those people any other time. So it's like seeing all those people that like I missed that. I mean, when quarantine started, people, you're like, oh, I see them every once in a while, and like I miss them, and I miss all those people. I miss seeing everybody. I miss seeing them all the time, and just having that day and just spending time with them. I miss people.
All right. Oh, I actually won one.
Oh my God, you didn't need to cheat.
Oh, see now I can take my time. So don't have to.
This is torturous.
All right.
It can be all in my hair. They got my blonde.
That was awesome. So you are a senior this year.
Yes.
So what? Everyone's going to ask you. So I'm just going to get it out of the way.
All
We'll have
right.
it recorded, and you can just hit play.
Got it.
So what is your plan after college?
Okay,
Not
so
after college. What is your plan after high school?
after high school, I'm planning on going to a 4-year university of some sort up in probably Wisconsin or Michigan.
Okay.
And then I'm planning on doing biology and chemistry, and then go into a pharmaceutical school, and then become a pharmacist. That's my goal. To be a professional drug dealer.
All right. Heart of the cards. Heart of the cards. Oh, I didn't think it actually happened. So, I always wait to flip together.
Oh yeah.
Yeah!
Oh my gosh. This is.
Hey, what is going on, everybody? Thank you so much for joining us here at New Life Online for Student Life. This is our junior high segment. If you're watching this on August 20th at 6 p.m., there is a live chat that is happening. I am here, so please say hello, say what's up, and let's get started. So tonight we are on our third week of our series called The Big Picture. And so if you remember back in week 1, we talked about this guy named Joseph. Joseph was his father's favorite. He was given this beautiful robe as a way for all of his family to remember that he is the favorite. And then he had this awesome dream, at least it was awesome for Joseph, as Joseph then went and bragged to his brothers that one day they were all going to bow down before him. And through that message, we talked about the impact that we alone have on our families and the things that are going on in our homes. Last week when we got together, we talked about Joseph being betrayed by his brothers. Everything that he had known and loved was stripped from him, and he was thrown into this well, left for dead. And then his brothers decided they didn't want to kill him, so they were going to sell him into slavery. And we just talked about how we have to remember that there's a big picture that's going on, even when all hope seems lost, when we can't see why we're going through these trials. God was with Joseph in the well, and God is with us when we're going through our situations in life. And so tonight, as we continue on through the big picture, I want you guys to remember this. You need to learn how to step out of this area and remember that there's a whole big picture going on around you. So let me ask you this, and if you are joining us here during the live time, answer this in the chat, but how often do you think that you do the right thing? Do you think it's about 80% of the time? How about 60%? 40%? I thought the average would be between about 60 and 80% of the time. Let me ask you this, though. How often do you guys think that you know the right thing to do, but openly decide not to do it? Probably a lot more than you're willing to admit. When I was younger, I remember there was a Chinese student that came into our school, and nobody really liked him simply because he was just different, he was weird, and he was the new kid. And so usually that's how that goes for a little while everyone's getting accustomed to him being there. And I remember that all of our teachers were always preparing us for the next step. And so the class that I had with this student, the teacher talked very quickly, and it was a history class. They had a hard time keeping up with understanding what the projects were since English was not his first language. And so I remember just going over and constantly helping this student out. And we weren't friends. We didn't hang out outside of class. But I do remember that I had some friends that were like, why would you do that? And I just remember thinking it was just the right thing to do. The reason why we struggle doing the right thing so much is because it can cost us something. Think about it. If you have a parent, a teacher, a coach that you need to be open and honest with, you being open and honest with them, that's going to cause you to get into a lot of trouble. Or if you have a younger sibling and your parents are constantly asking you to babysit so they can go to work or go grocery shop, especially during this COVID season, you probably are at this point where you're like, I don't want to babysit anymore. But you agree to do it because you know it's the right thing to do, and so you give up your freedom. The cost there is freedom. And for some of you students, you have a very strict policy in your homes about not being allowed to date somebody, but you've probably encountered this situation where that cute girl or guy asked you out and you really wanted to say yes, but you knew the right thing to do was to listen to your parents and obey them, and so you said no. And for a lot of us, that cost is extremely high. We feel like that, like the end of the world. We could do this all day where we just sit here and talk about all the things that by doing the right thing, it costs us something else. Sometimes doing the right thing, though, it does feel easy. It does give us like this clarity. We do know that is the absolute right thing to do, and if I don't do it, then I'm a fool. There's other times, though, as we said, though, it becomes more complicated, but then sometimes doing the right thing becomes extremely complicated because no matter what happens, either we get hurt or somebody else we know gets hurt. And so things get a little bit harder for us to decide. And so tonight, that's what we're talking about, is how to decide what the right thing to do is. And Joseph is put into one of these situations where it's not really that easy to see what the best outcome is. And so he relies on God to give him clarity. And he trusts in God's word and God's promises because, as we said before, God was with Joseph in the well. Joseph is now in slavery, and we know that he is with Joseph then because reading up into this, we know that the house that Joseph was sold to, they are having success. There's blessing onto the house. See, Joseph was sold to this man named Potiphar, and Potiphar's a big deal in the Egypt area. He's got a lot of pull with Pharaoh. He's got a lot of land. He's got a lot of other servants. And so Joseph, being blessed through God, actually gets a promotion, and he becomes like pretty much the head of the household when Potiphar and his family are not there. And so if you're sitting there watching this tonight and you have your scriptures, open up to Genesis chapter 39, verse 6 through 7. So it says this: he left all that he owned under Joseph's authority. This is talking about Potiphar. He did not concern himself with anything except the food that he ate. Now Joseph was a well-built and handsome man, and after some time his master's wife looked longingly at Joseph and said, "Sleep with me." I would imagine that Joseph probably looked something like this. So this is not a good situation for Joseph to be with because, as you know, he is a slave. And so he is literally stuck between an impossible decision because if he goes against Potiphar and does this awful deed with Potiphar's wife, then he has to deal with the wrath of Potiphar. But if he denies Potiphar's wife, she still has authority over him, and there's some wrath that could still come down on him. And I said this last week, if we could make a Netflix show, we should just do it on Joseph's life because this is like the ultimate drama that's happening right now. Putting the story into our own lives, thinking about like our own friends, and our friends eventually they come up and they get their little boo things, and you guys are all on Snapchat and Instagram, and so all of a sudden some of you might have dealt with this where all of a sudden your best friend's crush or girlfriend or boyfriend is all of a sudden Snapchatting you or instant messaging you, and they're saying, hey, I want to hang out with you, but you can't tell them. And so you're put between this rock and a hard place. And so you struggle because you're like, man, they're really cute, but man, this is my friend. We've been through so much together. I don't want to betray them. So this situation is true with Joseph. There's a lot at stake for him, as we've mentioned before. And this isn't just a one-time invitation that Potiphar's wife comes to Joseph. This is a reoccurring thing over and over and over. And constantly, Joseph is having to turn her away. And eventually, in Genesis 39, 8 through 10, it says this: he went into the house to do his work, and none of the household servants were there. So she grabbed him by the garments and said, sleep with me. But leaving his garment in his hand, he was able to escape and run outside. When she saw that when he had left his garment and he had ran off, she called to the house servants and said, Look, she said to them, my husband brought a Hebrew man to make fools of us. So Joseph is constantly doing the right thing. Then this wife comes to him and she gets really aggressive. She gets really tired of being told no. And so in order for him to escape, he has to leave like a shirt behind. And she uses that shirt as evidence to say that this man did something wrong. You see, tonight's story doesn't have a happy ending. If you are interested in the happy ending, you have to come back next week. The reason being is because when God is asking you to do the right thing, it does mean that something bad could happen, that you're going to have to pay some sort of price, just like Joseph. Because Joseph ends up in prison. His freedom is taken away from him because Potiphar is so angry about the things that his wife has told him. In Genesis verse 9, it says this: no one in the house is greater than I am. He has withheld nothing from me except you, because you are his wife. So how could I do such a great and evil sin against God? This is the greatest answer. If you are somebody that is really trying to figure out who God is, Joseph knew his scriptures. He knew the commandments that God had handed down, and he knew that the right thing, no matter the cost of consequences, he knew the right thing was to obey God and to obey this person that, has really provided for him and given him a lot of opportunities. And so he tells him, I'm honoring Potiphar, I'm honoring you as his wife, and I'm going to honor God. And that decision did not come based on the fact that Joseph was going to get in trouble or that Joseph could be falsely accused or anything. Joseph just knew that he had to follow the word of God. And it does cost Joseph something, because as the story continues, she continually asks him day after day to come to bed with him. And eventually she gets fed up and she grabs him by the shirt, and he has to rip the shirt off and run out of the house. And so she uses his shirt as a way to say, look at what this man did to me. They use this as evidence to say that this man did something awful. So Potiphar gets angry and throws Joseph in jail. If you're joining us online tonight and you're expecting a happy ending tonight, you actually have to come back next week. Because here's the truth. Sometimes doing the right thing does mean that it will cost you something. But there's a bigger picture at play here, and you have no idea what you doing the right thing could mean for somebody else. Just like my story, I have no idea if I had another impact on somebody else when they saw me do the right thing. And there's hundreds of stories all around us in Morton and Washington of people that saw somebody else doing the right thing, and that inspired them, that gave them courage to go and do the right thing as well. That all comes from God. He wants us to follow and obey him, because the ultimate thing that we are asked to do by Jesus Christ is to, 1, love God above everything else, and then 2, love each other as much as we love ourselves. I want to say thank you guys so much for joining us here online. We are going to meet in Zoom. I'm going to throw the code up right after this video. We'll see you guys here in a couple minutes.